2 years ago, a historic $98 million settlement required the city to ensure equal opportunity for minority firefighters. But today, a group of fire department employees is taking to the steps of City Hall saying discrimination continues.
And the only way that we can stop it is to make our voices known, to put the full weight, force, and effect of the law behind it.
The group announced they were filing a federal lawsuit fighting what they called institutional racism that was still not addressed. The recent settlement focused on uniformed firefighters and not the support staff.
There was never any review or look into the systemic and institutional racism within that civilian ranks.
Frances Dempsey said she was paid around $30,000 a year less than white male counterparts hired years after her for the same title position.
I'd like to see things change so that other employees that are coming after me, who work hard and who like the city and who like the fire department, would like to do good work, be adequately compensated and recognized for the work that they do.
The fire department today did not respond to requests for comment on the civilian group's planned lawsuit. Attorney Greg Smith says he hopes an agreement can be reached with the city for systemic change to end discrimination in the fire department.
What equitable relief can we design that will help make employment fairer, more equitable, more inclusive across racial lines and across gender lines?
Reporting for Currents from City Hall, I'm Conrad Aderer.
What do you think it'll take to stop racial profiling?
Well, I mean, I wish any of us could answer that question, right? This is like a new low to me. It's so disheartening that he didn't have a weapon, he didn't have any drugs, he didn't have any behavior that was alarming, his arms were up. I don't understand. There was like practically 7 police officers there or something. Why this officer could have interpreted this as a threat is so beyond me. I mean, I don't know if maybe too often there is paid leave. I don't know if it needs to be, prosecuting when someone uses such poor judgment like this. I mean, that's the only thing I can think.
I think there are 2 things to think about, which is, first of all, as you said, he was complying. He was tasered. You can't tell from these videos, but what it seems like, and this is allegedly, is that he was actually shot when he was already on the ground, which is really alarming. We also remember a recent case, and I don't have the names, I think it was in Florida, of a guy who was a therapist working with a guy with autism.
Yes.
He's on the ground, on his back with his arms raised, and they shoot him anyway. And when he asked the cop, "Why'd you shoot me?" the cop said, "I don't know."
Right.
So what we have is, look, this is hard to talk about. This is hard stuff to talk about, but we have a legacy of racism in this country. And if we don't start calling it racism, then we can't fight it. We have to see what it is. Cops have to be trained differently. If this had been...
You don't have to train the police not to shoot white people. Why you got to train them not to shoot us?
But, Daddy, I'm saying everything has to be confronted. Everything has to be confronted. Because when you see there was a high-speed chase recently in L.A. with a Caucasian woman. She went through several counties. She ran into cars. She ran up on the road. When they took her out of the car, they gently removed what looked like a cell phone and gently handcuffed her. If that had been a black man, he would have been face down on the pavement without 1 second of conversation. We have to change how we see each other, and we cannot do that until we say what it is, which is that racism and fear of black men specifically drives these shootings. We have to change as a nation.
Look,
fundamentally.
But I know we got to go to break. But first thing you got to do, you got to make it a hate crime. You got to make it. You got to put people in jail. When you shoot somebody under the color of authority, you need to lose your job, and you need to lose your livelihood, and you need to lose your freedom, like every other American loses their freedom.
Consequences.
That's right.
Consequences.
Need to be consequences. But remember, there are good police officers out there, and the ones that are not, they need to go to jail. They need to go to jail. And don't tell me this. We got to train. Y'all white. Y'all drive all the time and don't nothing happen to y'all. And we black. And I'm afraid to drive my damn car because if they don't know who I am, I could be shot. Until y'all feel that, this ain't never gonna stop. Until you all that are not black feel it and stand with us, this is not going to stop.
We'll be right back.
The picture taken by a student shows honors history teacher Lee Francis giving a lesson on the First Amendment after holding up an American flag, asking students for a lighter or scissors.
And I put the flag on the ground and I take 2 steps with my right foot and I said, this is an example of freedom of speech. As soon as the flag hits the ground and I step on it, 2 students got up and left immediately with no word, no disruption at all. Got up and left. I assumed that something happened. One student came to where I am and took the flag from me.
Francis, who has relatives in the military, says he didn't intend to offend students, but rather drive home the Supreme Court's definition of free speech, as noted in the case Texas versus Johnson.
This case says speech is something other than what is spoken.
I was just appalled.
Melissa Ramos, who has a daughter at the school and a son stationed at Fort Bragg, was among the many parents furious over the demonstration and demanding Francis be fired.
Just personally, as a military family, to have someone do that. Thank goodness that she wasn't in that class because of our personal experiences with having friends not come home.
In a statement, Cumberland County School Superintendent Dr. Frank Till said, quote, clearly there are other ways to teach First Amendment rights without desecrating the flag, and that the incident is under investigation.
I think he's right, absolutely, that there could be other ways to teach this subject. But in the same vein, the way that I taught it can't necessarily be wrong.
Breaking news, Brooklyn District Attorney Ken Thompson has died of cancer. Good evening, I'm Jessica Moore. First at 11, shock and sadness over the death of Brooklyn DA Ken Thompson. The 50-year-old made history several years ago and is now being remembered as a civil rights leader and a voice for criminal justice reform. CBS 2's Steve Langford is live in our newsroom with more on this breaking story. Steve?
Just 5 days ago, Ken Thompson announced he had cancer and would take sick leave. I intend to fight and win the battle against this disease, he said. Tragically, he lost that fight.
Ken Thompson scored an upset victory 3 years ago by defeating longtime Brooklyn District Attorney Charles Hines, Thompson becoming the first African-American to ever hold that position. CBS 2 spoke to Thompson in his office in 2014.
Well, I take many of these cases home with me, because at the end of the day, when anyone is shot and killed or violently attacked, you know, it's something that I ran to prevent.
Ken Thompson, a native New Yorker, was a former federal prosecutor, part of the team that prosecuted a New York City police officer in the 1997 beating and torture of Abner Louima. Later, in private practice, Thompson represented Nafissatou Diallo, a Manhattan hotel housekeeper who accused French politician Dominique Strauss-Kahn of sexual assault, a case eventually dropped by the Manhattan district attorney.
We lost a revolutionary, great man.
Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce President Carlos Shishura says he and his borough have lost a friend.
I mean, a young man who was really dedicated to the people of this borough, who understood adversity and struggle from a personal basis.
Expressions of sadness and mourning coming from public leaders across the city and state. Governor Cuomo in a statement declaring, quote, Ken was known as an effective, aggressive civil rights leader and a national voice for criminal justice reform. Mayor de Blasio stating, with a life and promise cut far too short, our city was blessed with but a glimpse of Ken's unwavering commitment to justice. And Police Commissioner James O'Neill affirming he dedicated his life to the pursuit of justice and his legacy will live on through his contributions to the criminal justice system.
Governor Cuomo has ordered all state flags to fly at half-staff as a tribute to the Brooklyn DA. Thompson leaves behind his wife and 2 children, along with his mother, father, brother, and sister. His family was at his side at Memorial Sloan Kettering when he died today. Jessica.